3 years after secretly marrying Liam Prescott, one of the brightest stars in the music industry, I found myself sitting in silence as the world spun rumors faster than wildfire. During a television interview, the host casually asked Liam how he would divide 8 slices of Swiss cake among his family. With that familiar smile that could disarm any crowd, he replied without hesitation, "My wife doesn't get any." The studio chuckled, the cameras flashed, and beside him, Sienna Monroe, the darling of Hollywood's new wave of actresses, put on a face of mock-hurt lips, trembling like a child about to cry, and gently patted his arm as if she were the one entitled to comfort him. That single gesture was enough to ignite the internet. Fans, tabloids, and gossip channels twisted the moment into confirmation that Liam and Sienna were secretly married. My existence was erased in real time, replaced with headlines crowning her as his hidden wife. Meanwhile, I was dragged through the mud labeled a desperate green tea opportunist, someone who clung to Liam's career just to scrape together a little recognition. Watching the live stream, I crossed my arms and sent him a text with only one question mark. He answered instantly as though he had been waiting for me. "You don't get a slice either. Post this clip on TikTok, let it explode, ride the outrage. When the timing is right, go live once and financial freedom is yours." It was his kind of dark humor laced with strategy. "Then I'll buy you 8 cakes of your own. The dog can eat what you leave behind, and I'll eat the dog's share." That was Liam Prescott calculating even in jest, turning scandals into stepping stones. After our secret marriage, I had become more than his wife. I was his manager, his confidant, the other half of the machine that powered his career. We had graduated from the same conservatory, shared the same taste in music, the same instincts for lyrics and rhythm. Liam entrusted me with everything, choosing his songs, writing his words, curating his voice to the world. At first, I resented the responsibility. My brow furrowed each time he handed me another unfinished verse, until his fingertip brushed the crease between my eyes and smoothed it away. "Little professor," he teased with that lazy grin. "Save a little space in your heart for me too. Don't give it all away to your precious melodies." That was Liam, equal parts charm and arrogance, sculpted like he was born for the screen, tall and broad-shouldered from disciplined training, his face carved into perfection. If he had not been a singer, he could have easily been Hollywood's next leading man. Yet his beauty was marked with tragedy. One of his eyes had been injured years ago, leaving it clouded and gray, like smoke trapped behind glass. On stage, under the spotlight, it only deepened his allure, making him untouchable. Off stage, when he wore a simple white sweater and slouched on the sofa, his mismatched gaze pierced straight through me, heavy with unspoken words. Ours was a marriage born of arrangement, but rooted in years of childhood familiarity, and no matter how reluctant I had been in the end, I always surrendered to him. 3 years after that fateful decision, he convinced me once more, urging me to join him on a reality show, promising it would be different. The moment we stepped off the plane, the crowd descended. Fans screamed his name, waving banners, crying with joy, while paparazzi shoved and clawed their way forward, barking for him to look their way. Liam Prescott, the man who usually met the world with warmth, grew cold in an instant, his exhaustion radiating like ice. "Push one more time and I'll smash your damn camera," he snapped, his voice cutting through the chaos. A photographer sneered, raising his lens like a weapon. "What's so great about you, Starboy? You're nothing but a clown." The surge of bodies knocked fans to the ground. I rushed to help them, only to feel a sharp pain explode across my cheekbone. Someone's phone had struck me squarely in the face. My vision blurred, dizziness threatened to drag me under, but I bit down hard on my tongue, swallowing the curses that clawed at my throat. Before I could steady myself, Liam's voice thundered across the terminal. "You son of a bitch," still pushing a crash-followed metal against concrete. The crowd fell silent. Liam's voice turned lethal. "Didn't you already serve time for harassing a teenage girl, made enough money for your funeral yet, or do you need another excuse to rot in jail?" The taunts died in the photographer's throat. For a heartbeat, the world was still. Then a hand caught my arm, firm and steady. I flinched, pulling away, afraid of adding more fuel to the fire. Liam sighed, defeated, and gestured for Dylan Carter, his loyal assistant, to guide me out. Slowly, the dark haze lifted. By the time we reached the black SUV waiting outside, my phone was already buzzing with venom. The internet had seen everything, and once again, I was the villain. Look at her faking a fall just to get Liam's attention. Is she his manager or some wannabe star? Pathetic. Trying to be the third wheel when he already has a wife. Didn't he announce his marriage 3 years ago? How clueless is she? The insults grew sharper with every refresh. I massaged my temple, my lips trembling with unsaid words, but silence was my only shield. For nearly 3 months, I had kept a vow of silence, practicing a discipline passed down from my grandmother, Grandma Margaret. Only one more day remained before I could speak again, and until then, no matter the provocation, I could not break. I scrolled through the video, grainy and chaotic, showing the surge of the crowd, the fists, the screams. Anyone with sense could see I had been shoved, struck without warning, but strangers on the internet never wanted the truth. They wanted blood. It was clear in that grainy video that I had been struck by a paparazzo's careless swing, the blow forcing me to stumble backward, yet the world preferred a more scandalous version of events. Liam had been walking ahead, face half hidden, behind a black mask, his expression unreadable under the harsh airport lights. But even in the chaos of shouts and flashing cameras, he had noticed the danger behind him. His eyes flicked toward me, and in one swift motion, his arm reached back steady and certain, catching me before I could fall. It lasted no more than 2 seconds, long enough for my body to register his warmth, and for me to instinctively pull away, unwilling to give the crowd more fuel. Liam glanced at Dylan Carter, and in that fleeting exchange of looks, something unspoken passed between them. Dylan stepped forward to take my arm, guiding me away, and just like that, the moment was over, lost in the sea of noise. The clip itself was less than a minute long, with both Liam and me visible for barely 5 seconds yet. By the time I shut it off, the comments beneath it had already doubled. Someone had paused the video, zoomed in, and plastered accusations across social media. Look at her again, another stunt. Liam just signed an endorsement with a luxury watch brand, and suddenly she's wearing the exact same model. Be real, sweetheart, you're here to work, not to cling to him for attention. On its own, the remark might have seemed harmless, maybe even rational, but the problem was that every movement of mine was now dissected, twisted into evidence of ulterior motives. From the beginning, when Liam had asked me to help choose his songs, I had imposed 3 rules on myself. First, no public displays of intimacy, no matter how small. Second, keep enough distance in front of the cameras to appear as nothing more than colleagues. Third, never ever allow personal feelings to seep into professional space. Yet even with those rules, gossip found me like shadows chasing light. I rubbed my forehead, the weight of invisible eyes pressing down, but there was no time to dwell. The show had already begun. The reality program was called A Different Day. Its concept simple yet deceptive. Each guest would live stream a day in their ordinary life, except the setting was a luxury resort on a private island. Some chose to socialize, making friends and soaking in the beachside leisure. Others invited their film crews into workspaces, showing the world their craft. The rhythm was calm on the surface, but beneath it pulsed a constant undercurrent of scrutiny. For Liam, it was an opportunity to retreat into what he loved most. The moment we stepped into our assigned villa, he pulled out his laptop and a compact electric keyboard, his entire presence shifting as though the outside world no longer existed. "Professor Collins," he murmured with that sly curl of his lips. "Listen to this demo for me." His brow furrowed as he nearly let slip the old nickname he used in private, and I forced myself to stay calm. Sliding the headphones over my ears, I listened intently, jotting down notes on my tablet before handing it to him. He read my words, nodded, and set back to work. I caught the shift out of the corner of my eye. My image reflected on a staff member's phone screen, a live stream, already running the chat box, scrolling relentlessly. I had not even realized the broadcast had started. Comments flew across the screen. "There she goes again, silent as ever. What's her deal? Look at her expressions. She acts more dramatic than the actual star." I stiffened, but Dylan noticed my tension and quickly shut his phone, shielding me from the endless stream of poison. According to the show's rules, guests could only view comments during certain segments, but staff had no such restrictions, and sometimes ignorance was the only mercy. Before I could decide whether to explain myself, Liam lifted his head, speaking in that calm, deliberate tone that always carried further than he intended. "So, Professor Collins, how long do you plan to keep this vow of silence?" He already knew the answer, knew it more clearly than I did, but the words were for the audience, a way of shielding me without making it obvious. I scrawled 2 words on my tablet and held it up one day. Liam glanced at it, then tilted his head with a soft chuckle. He turned to the camera, eyes glinting. For those just tuning in, this is Aubrey Collins, my songwriting consultant and creative advisor. She's deeply devoted to her family, and right now she's practicing a vow of silence with her grandmother, which is why she cannot speak on air. His explanation was smooth, careful, protective. I should have felt grateful, but before I could, a sweet, honeyed voice sliced through the air. "Well, isn't that interesting?" the voice sang, light and melodic. Both Liam and I turned toward the doorway, and there she stood, Sienna Monroe, America's sweetheart, her chestnut curls styled to perfection, her makeup flawless under the warm resort lights. She wore a short white dress, elegant yet daring, draped with a soft gray fur coat that slid from her shoulders as she smiled, the picture of effortless glamour. "Liam, you won't believe how freezing it was back in New York. I had to layer up just to step outside. And here the heat is unbearable." She laughed, her coat slipping lower until her delicate collarbones gleamed like porcelain. For a heartbeat, my mind went blank, unmoored by the sight. After so many days spent in the quiet halls of a monastery, surrounded only by monks and nuns. The sudden radiance of Sienna Monroe's beauty disoriented me. Beneath the table, Liam's fingers pinched me lightly, a subtle reminder to regain my composure. I blinked, forcing myself back into the moment, just as Sienna glided forward, with her effortless grace stopping directly in front of me. "Would you be a dear and bring us 2 black coffees?" she asked sweetly, as though she were ordering a servant. "Mine without milk and Liam's without sugar. He doesn't like sweets." With that, she nudged me aside, as if I were nothing more than an obstacle, then slipped into the seat beside Liam with the comfort of someone settling into her own home. Almost instantly, the live chat erupted, shifting like a tide. "Oh my God, Sienna's here? Did you see the way Liam squinted when she took off her coat? He must have hated how everyone else got to admire her. So adorable, I ship them forever." Another comment followed, cruel and cutting. "Look at the manager's face, priceless. The official has arrived and she looks terrified." I sat there in silence, my lips pressed tightly together, aware that no amount of explanation would matter now. The narrative had already been written, and I was cast as the villain. "Right, keep pretending, green tea girl. Let's see how the real one deals with you. This is going to be good." I heard about the so-called manager always overstepping. No wonder Sienna came personally. "She's too kind, really treating the mistress so politely." The comments rolled in faster than I could breathe, an endless flood of ridicule and comparisons. A few hesitant voices questioned it all, asking, "What's so interesting about this? Is this even true?" I just wanted to hear Liam's new music. Why is the whole chat obsessed with Sienna? But reason never stood a chance against the fever of a crowd. I glanced at Liam, then back at Sienna. But before I could even form the plea in my eyes, Liam spoke first. His smile was gentle but devoid of warmth, his tone steady as he said, "Miss Monroe, I'm afraid you're sitting in someone else's seat. My consultant still needs to help me finish the arrangement. Could I trouble you to ask someone else to fetch the coffee? We're really quite busy." Sienna's lips curled into a flawless smile, as though rejection had slid right past her. Without missing a beat, she stood gracefully, the picture of poise. "Of course, I should have known. When you're writing music, you hate distractions. Don't worry, Liam. I just came by to see you for a moment. I'll leave you to your work. See you later." Her exit was as polished as her entrance, but the comments spun her retreat into a crown of victory. Now that's the elegance of a true wife. Exactly, that's the demeanor of a woman who is truly loved. Liam just doesn't like anyone around when he writes, it's his habit. Poor Sienna, she respects him so much. So it was her all along. When Liam announced his marriage 3 years ago, the person he was protecting had to be Sienna. It's obvious. They've been public this whole time. How do you not know? The flights, the Valentine's posts, all of it lined up with Liam's schedule. The matching clothes, the jewelry, the hats, too many coincidences to count. And now this show with the producers practically confirming it. If they weren't married, why would they invite her here? The chat burned hotter, fans spinning fantasy into reality. Such a perfect pair, America's Prince of Music and Hollywood's sweetheart, so glamorous, so beautiful together. Look how famous she is now. I heard Oren TV is already casting her as the lead in their next big series. This is it, their happy day is coming. Both beloved by the public, they'll have to announce soon. Please let them go public already. It'll be the sweetest gift for the fans. Yes, why are they still hiding? Their voices layered over one another, crashing like waves in a storm. While I kept my head down, pen in hand, focused on the sheet music in front of me, I added a few notes suggesting a violin solo to sharpen the emotion of the chorus, carving silence into sound. The melody rose strong and bold, only to fall into aching quiet, the violin's weeping echo painting sorrow in the air. Liam listened intently, his gaze heavy, then nodded, his voice dropping low. "Perfect," he murmured, though I could not tell whether he meant the song or something more. His mismatched eyes, one clouded gray, the other deep as midnight, lingered on me with an intensity that made my breath falter. They seemed to hold 1,000 unsaid things. Questions I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. Finally, he exhaled almost a whisper, meant only for me. "Professor Collins. Why does it have to be one more day? Why wait until noon tomorrow?" His words pressed against the invisible barrier of my silence, his frustration palpable. Vows of silence were not just about closing the lips. They were about stilling the heart and extinguishing desire, and for Liam Prescott, that restraint had become unbearable. Every part of my vow seemed to chafe against Liam Prescott, as if the silence itself pressed on his chest until he could hardly breathe. I scribbled on my tablet, reminding him that his restlessness came from his own unsettled mind, and if he could not bear it, he should seek out my grandmother, who would gladly teach him to chant. He sighed heavily, shoulders sinking before jotting back. "Did you forget Grandma Margaret despises me? She calls me a street singer, says I disgrace your family, and forbids me from setting foot in her house." His words stung with truth. At the beginning, when he first revealed he was married, he had wanted to announce my name to the world, but my grandmother, bound by her pride and disdain for his profession, had begged him not to. To her, being a musician was shameful, a stain on the family's reputation. She didn't want his identity tied to mine, and so for years we carried the burden of secrecy. It was not his choice, nor entirely mine, but the collision of two generations, one clinging to tradition, the other struggling to survive. In an age where the internet magnified everything, step by step, we tried to endure. The show A Different Day moved forward at its own rhythm. Though its pace seemed calm, every guest was forced into the spotlight from the start. The first day required all participants to gather for ice-breaking activities, with games and tasks designed to pull strangers into alliances. Later days would unfold with challenges demanding trust and cooperation, the kind that blurred the line between entertainment and intrusion. While Liam took part, I stayed back in the villa's lounge. Out of curiosity, I opened the live stream on my phone. There he was, seated on the stage with the other celebrities, and of course Sienna Monroe was right at his side. The game had ended, replaced with light-hearted chatter led by Chase Morgan, the show's charismatic host. Liam Chase said, his grin bright as always, "Our viewers are dying to know more about your married life." Instantly, every camera lens and every pair of eyes flicked between Liam and Sienna, like an audience leaning in for a punchline. My stomach tightened as the comments flew across the screen. 100 questions about their marriage. "This is it. Look at how they stare at each other. That's love you can't fake. They're perfect, absolutely made for each other. Tall nose, long hands. He must be the kind of man who spoils his wife. Sienna is so blessed." The tide of adoration surged, each remark building on the last, drowning reason with fantasy. Then one line cut sharper than the rest. "Wait a second, his wife is Sienna. Then who the hell is Aubrey?" The air in the studio seemed to change. Liam hesitated only briefly before nodding, once quietly telling the host, "Go ahead, ask." Chase leaned closer, his smile tinged with mischief. "All right then, on behalf of the viewers, I'll ask you the question everyone wants answered. Can you reveal the identity of your spouse right here, right now?" For a moment, Liam froze. To anyone else it looked like nerves. To me, who had grown up with him, who had seen every shade of his stubbornness and tenderness, it was something else entirely. He had wanted to announce it for years. I remembered the nights when he drank until his eyes burned red, curling against me like a wounded animal whispering with frustration. "Why can't we tell them, you're grown, you're mine? Why does your grandmother still control everything?" I would stroke his hair, helpless, reminding him of the guilt that haunted Grandma Margaret after my mother's death, how she relied on me to keep her stable, how chanting and silence gave her peace. "Just endure her a little longer," I had begged him. Sometimes he agreed, sometimes he bit back like a cornered boy, sinking his teeth gently into my skin, as though to brand me. No, he had insisted in those moments, his voice raw. "I want the world to know you're mine, not because of my family's name, not because of image, but because of me. I want us bound forever in every lifetime, so no one can question it. Promise me, Aubrey." please." I could still feel his arms locking around my waist. His desperate voice repeating, "Will you, will you?" And the only answer I could give was a weary sigh and a hand brushing against the eye he had once injured for me. "Just wait a little longer, Liam. It's all right. If we don't announce it now, it's not the end." The memory blurred with the present, and I watched him on screen, his jaw tight, his breath shallow. Then a voice light and lilting broke the silence. "It's fine," Sienna chimed in, her tone gentle, almost sympathetic. "If he doesn't want to announce it, that's okay too. Some things are better left private." For a split second, Liam's face betrayed his thoughts. He wasn't good at hiding emotions, never had been. His expression all but shouted, "Who are you to speak for me?" But he was trapped beneath the lights, every camera fixed on him, and before he could retort, Chase Morgan jumped in with theatrical cheer. "Well, there we have it. Liam's still a little hesitant to go public, so let's respect that. Privacy can be a good thing too." The audience clapped, the chat exploded again, twisting Sienna's intrusion into validation. "See, even the host agrees they're real. This is basically their announcement. Oh my God, Sienna is officially Mrs. Prescott. Lucky girl, she's everything. Liam is hers and hers alone." Chase Morgan's laugh rang through the studio, cheerful and effortless. All right, looks like Liam Prescott still has a little hesitation about going public. Then let's just keep it like Sienna said, it's no big deal. Not announcing can be a good thing too." His words on their own sounded harmless, but layered on top of what had just happened, they turned into fuel for speculation. Predictably, the chat exploded. "I knew it, I shipped them, and now even the host agrees. He's in the industry, he must know something. This couple is real, no doubt about it. Chase wouldn't tease if he didn't know the truth. Oh my God, this is practically a public announcement on live TV. Sienna is so lucky becoming the Prescott family's eldest daughter-in-law. Everyone knows Liam only cares about music now, but eventually he'll return home to inherit the billions. She's set for life." The comments turned nastier, and suddenly my name flashed like a target. This is the slap in the face that manager Aubrey deserves. When will she finally get fired? Watching her is so irritating. Liam writes his own songs. Why does he even need her advice? Everyone signed the petition. Fire Aubrey Collins from the studio. Can't they find anyone else who can pick songs? Aubrey needs to get out. Get her out. The wave of malice grew crueler with every line until it felt less like random chatter and more like a coordinated assault. My chest tightened as I stared at the screen. Something was wrong. Real fans, people with jobs and lives, didn't write like this. The repetition, the venom, the precision, this was the work of hired accounts bots paid to manipulate the narrative. Someone was trying to push me down so that Sienna could rise, someone willing to buy shadows to cast me in the dark. I drew in a long breath, forcing my pulse to steady. Calm your heart, still your desires. Buddhism never meant surrender, it meant clarity. My voice was soft when I spoke into the phone, but my decision was sharp. Find out who hired the bots in the comment section. I want proof. A pause, then another thought struck. Wait, before that, buy me an army of accounts, as many as possible. If they want to play this game, we'll play. I couldn't curse them myself, but poison could be fought with poison. On stage, Chase changed the subject with a grin, steering the show away from the tension. He tossed playful questions at the other guests before circling back to Liam. Since you're the youngest married man here, can I give you a tough one? His smile carried that familiar glint of provocation. If you had 8 Swiss rolls, how would you divide them among your family? Liam blinked, then his lips curved into the ghost of a smirk. 5 for my grandmother, 3 for me. My wife gets nothing. The studio gasped in unison, every guest's jaw dropping. Liam's grin widened, sharp and defiant. To the world, it was just another glimpse of his unpredictable streak, the same rebellious spirit he had shown since his debut, always saying what he wanted without fear. But to me, it was more than that. He was reviving one of our private jokes. Once we had laughed over this exact question. He had told me with that mischievous glint in his eyes, "You don't get any. You'll post it on TikTok, make the world angry, and when the timing is right, you'll go live, turn it into your power. Then I'll buy 8 more cakes, every single one for you. The dog will eat whatever you leave behind, and I'll eat what the dog couldn't finish." Back then, I had rolled my eyes, torn between exasperation and admiration. He was reckless, yes, but strategic too, understanding that even scandal could be turned into fuel if you knew how to spin it. But now, under the cameras, the moment played differently. Sienna's reaction was quick, a flicker of wounded surprise, her lips pressed together, her hand tapping his arm like a girlfriend scolding her partner. The expression lasted only a heartbeat gone, as quickly as it came, but sharp eyes could catch it. Online sharp eyes weren't needed at all. Fans latched onto the smallest cues. They're flirting, you can tell. Look at the way she pouted, that's love. They're made for each other, it's undeniable. Not one person noticed the subtle frown that pinched Liam's brow or heard his soft, puzzled whisper. What are you doing? People who loved shipping couples thrived on imagined details, twisting crumbs into banquets. Sienna knew this well. After that fleeting show of petulance, she smiled sweetly and stayed quiet, letting the audience do the rest. The next segments rolled on her demeanor, flawless, her charm steady. By the following morning, when the groups gathered to reflect on the previous day, the narrative was already written in the minds of thousands. A famous actress laughed as she shared that she had brought along her longtime best friend, a classmate from high school. She insists on calling herself my assistant, the actress teased. But the truth is, she's my closest friend. On days when I'm not filming, we spend our time wandering the city, eating, shopping, enjoying life together. Sienna Monroe's smile sparkled as she chimed in, "That's wonderful. Luckily, your assistant isn't a man, or else the rumors would never stop." Her eyes flicked toward me as if to underline some hidden meaning before she continued breezily. "As for me, my life outside of work is usually spent alone. But that's fine. Everyone is always so busy." Instantly, the live stream chat erupted. When she says everyone, she really means Liam Prescott, right? That's why he can't even look at her. Sienna's endured so much for his career. Why hasn't Liam gone public yet? And when the question finally reached Liam, his reply was calm, clipped, and deliberate. "She's Aubrey Collins, my manager. Most days it's just her Dylan Carter and me working together. That's all. He didn't even call me a friend. I knew him too well. Things he couldn't say he avoided, things he refused to say he would never utter under any circumstance. On matters like this, he was stubborn as a child clinging to secrecy, rather than admit aloud that I was more than just a colleague. I could only sigh in silence. But the internet was merciless. Here we go again, the shameless green tea bitch is at it. Being a manager isn't enough. She really thinks she can climb higher. The real wife is right there, and she still dares to act arrogant. Disgusting. Yet buried in the venom were a few odd comments that didn't disappear unnoticed. Why did he emphasize the words "my manager" like that? It sounded almost possessive. Yeah, something about that tone was off. Still, those whispers were quickly drowned beneath the tidal wave of insults. "Stop making up stories about this fake couple. It's pathetic." I wasn't surprised. Sienna had clearly arranged her team of paid commenters ahead of time, guiding the audience into her narrative while turning me into the villain. It was a calculated game, and she was good at it. I was just a manager, someone with no fame, no power, tethered to Liam, an easy target to trample on, so that she could shine brighter. They thought they could publicly humiliate me, smear me, and it would stick. They thought I was defenseless. But they had forgotten I wasn't just anyone. I was still a Sullivan. My family didn't lack the money to fight fire with fire. My lips curved into a faint, cold smile as I lowered my head and tapped a quick message into my phone. Hire more accounts. If they wanted a war of shadows, I would drown them in it. I had already read through the production outline for this reality show, and a plan began forming in my mind. It could not only deal with Sienna, but also untangle a few knots between Liam and me. After the warm introductions, Chase Morgan's voice carried across the stage, smooth and upbeat. Since so many of today's guests are joined by close friends or colleagues who always stay by their side, our next game will test just how much you trust each other. Celebrities, please take a seat in the audience while your partners remain on stage. Sienna, who had arrived alone, didn't move. She kept her radiant smile, looking perfectly content in her solitary spotlight. "Poor thing," one comment read. "She didn't bring anyone, but maybe she just wants to enjoy the moment with her husband." "Ha, that's actually kind of sweet." Chase grinned, clearly delighted by the chatter. "Excellent. Now that the stars have stepped away, it's time for the ones who know them best to share something truly exclusive. A secret, something the audience has never heard before." The crowd buzzed with anticipation, the chat screaming with excitement. "Oh my God, this is it. Liam's going to finally go public, isn't he? Look at Sienna, she's blushing already." But when the spotlight fell, it wasn't on her. It was on me. The chat exploded again. "Wait, why is the green tea getting to speak? That's insulting. Are you kidding me? Why would she be the one to reveal Liam's secrets, unless they were closer than we thought? Clearly staged by the producers. Don't fall for it." "No, listen," Liam emphasized my manager earlier. "If it's all a script, then why is everyone so convinced that Sienna is the secret wife? None of this makes sense. Shut up, stop arguing, it's obvious. Sienna's the real one end of story. The insults thrown at me quickly spiraled into chaos, the live stream comments turning into a battlefield. At the center of the storm, I smiled faintly and gestured for Sienna Monroe to speak first. She frowned ever so slightly, her eyes flashing open disdain. The other guests, clearly entertained, shared only trivial little habits or stories, waiting for the real show. When her turn came, Sienna lowered her head with a soft, almost pitiful laugh. Well then, she sighed, since I don't have a partner with me today, I'll just have to reveal a secret of my own. Everyone knew where this was heading. It was too obvious. The director immediately cut the cameras to catch Liam Prescott's reaction. Off stage, Liam finally had the chance to glance at the scrolling comments. His brows furrowed as he replayed last night's broadcast, his fingers tapping anxiously against the screen. What's he doing? The audience buzzed. He must be worried about Sienna. Ugh, disgusting. Yesterday, some fools even defended that green tea bitch. How pathetic. Inside the studio, Sienna's voice trembled with practiced sweetness. He's always been so kind to me. All these years, always protecting me. That's why I hesitate. Should I really say this out loud? The host jumped in smoothly. That's all right, Sienna. If you're uncomfortable, you can keep it vague. She nodded, feigning shyness like a child pushed onto the stage, smiling reluctantly. Fine then, I won't name him, but I can tell you this, he really loves Swiss rolls. Gasps, laughter, teasing. Wait, didn't Liam just say yesterday that he ate 3 Swiss rolls? So it was him all along. Oh my god, how sweet, they're perfect together. The chat exploded in celebration like confetti raining down, while mocking me mercilessly in between. Expressionless, I raised the tablet in my hands. The secret I want to share, I said clearly, is that Liam Prescott doesn't even like Swiss rolls. Sienna's smile froze, a flicker of ice flashing in her eyes, before she quickly masked it with a giggle. Oh, when did I ever mention his name, Miss Collins? You seem a little sensitive. She covered her mouth and laughed again, the perfect picture of charm. But you're funny talking as if you know him better than I do. I tapped the screen, switching to the page I had prepared long before. That's because I do know him better than you. The room chilled. The comments went feral. Has she lost her mind? The manager's breaking down on stage. She's insane, still pretending she's calm. What a clown. Liam already went public with Sienna, yet she keeps acting like this, embarrassing. But then another voice broke through the noise. Wait, I've been a fan for years. Liam's always said he hates sweets. He's never liked desserts, ever. This doesn't add up. My words, backed by money and careful timing, began to shift the tide. Sienna stared at the wall of text crawling across the screen, her smile stiffening as unease crept into her features. Be careful with your words, Aubrey, she warned softly, as Liam's manager. If you say things like this, people will misunderstand. You'll only cause him trouble. I met her gaze, calm and steady. And what if it isn't a misunderstanding? I tapped the tablet again. The words appeared in bold across the screen. The studio fell silent. It was as though the air itself thickened, every heartbeat sinking to the thrill of anticipation. It was time. Time to stop hiding. For years, I'd put my grandmother's wishes first, protecting her from the storm of public opinion. But she had once told me, no matter what happens, protect yourself above all else. I had endured slander, humiliation, and calculated attacks that far surpassed what I had ever imagined. And the root of it all was Sienna choosing me as her foil, crafting her perfect couple image with Liam at my expense. I knew why she did it. Shippers always craved a contrast, a rival to magnify the romance. If she picked another actress, she would face backlash. But me, a nameless manager, defenseless in their eyes, I was the perfect sacrifice. If that was the role she wanted me to play, then fine. I'd flip the script. I'd make the truth my weapon. I would drag the lies into the light, not just for Liam, but so even Grandma Margaret would finally understand. It was time to go public. Having thought everything through, I kept my expression calm, my gaze locked on Sienna Monroe as I lifted the tablet in my hand. If it's not a misunderstanding, I said evenly, then it means someone here is lying. Isn't that right? The host hesitated, raising the microphone carefully. This seems to be the first time we've encountered such a situation. It looks like the secrets from our 2 guests don't quite match, do they? I expected Sienna to back down, maybe laugh it off as a mistake. Instead, she simply stared at me, her smile sharp and mocking. Oh, please, she said sweetly. Some people lie so often they forget their own fabrications. This is just a fun show, not a courtroom. No need to argue with people like that. Let's move on, shall we? The host nodded awkwardly. All right then. Next question. Please describe how you see him or her in your eyes. The other guests answered quickly, but all attention returned to us. It was clear the audience only cared about the real battle, the real wife versus the pretender. With practiced poise, Sienna raised a photo. In my eyes, she said softly, "I am a happy woman." The screen lit up with an image of her in a long white dress, bouquet in hand, looking every bit like a bride. Beside her, only an arm was visible, long elegant fingers, wearing a simple silver band. On the wrist, a luxury watch from Liam Prescott's brand deal. Not just any watch, but the limited edition gifted only to him. And there on the back of the hand, a small mole. The very same mole Liam had. Gasps rippled across the audience. Even I froze for half a second, it was too familiar. But the more I looked, the more I noticed the subtle discrepancies. Still, the damage was done. "She's unbelievable," the comments poured in. "Who dares to lie so blatantly in front of the real wife? Pathetic, she's humiliating herself. This is just a trial before their wedding day. Kick that shameless manager out already." Sienna's evidence swayed the crowd and she knew it. She raised her hand graciously, gesturing for me to respond, her tone laced with faux concern. "Take your time, Aubrey," she crooned, as though speaking to someone unwell. "Don't rush." My jaw tightened. The way the show kept favoring her, the way the production clearly leaned toward her, it was suffocating. Still, I lifted my chin, forcing my voice to stay steady. "You're right, I don't have many photos with Liam. Most of them are candid shots, nothing glamorous." "That's enough," she cut in her voice, dripping with condescension. "If you keep going, you'll only embarrass yourself further. Quit now while you can, it's not too late." Her words carried the weight of a queen dismissing a beggar. Ignoring her, I scrolled and finally selected one photo. The moment it lit up the big screen, silence blanketed the room. It wasn't the Liam Prescott the world knew. The cold, untouchable star. This was different. In the soft glow of warm light, the camera revealed his sharp brow and his striking heterochromatic eyes. He was smiling, gentle and dreamy, pointing behind him, toward me. In the background, I sat quietly in a linen dress, hair still damp, cascading over the chair. My head tilted slightly upward, a pen in my hand, as I worked on editing a script. A candid photo, intimate, unguarded, real. One anonymous hand versus a face, caught in the glow of someone's gaze. The difference was undeniable. The comments erupted. "Wait, this is real. I've never seen Liam look at anyone like that. Is this really him? That smile, it doesn't look staged at all." Even Sienna's composure cracked. She leaned forward, her voice sharper than before. Is this really Liam?" "Yes." It was, and everyone could see it. How could he ever make that kind of expression? Sienna pressed on her voice, dripping with disbelief. There are countless lookalikes these days. That picture only shows half of his face. And those heterochromatic eyes. They could be contact lenses. Look closely. See how the lighting is hazy, deliberately hiding the rim of the lenses. The tension in the room shifted. Some guests who had been leaning toward me moments ago now looked uncertain. Sienna seized the moment, her smile tight and sharp. "And that place in the photo, does it look like somewhere a superstar like Liam Prescott would ever be? That's clearly some remote cabin in the woods. In the last 3 years, has Liam ever gone to such a place?" I clenched my jaw. She was right about one thing: the picture had not been taken at Liam's house. It had been at the mountain retreat where he visited me, a place far from cameras, where I had been living quietly. I never thought she would strike so precisely, twisting truth into poison. A weary sigh escaped me as I glanced at the clock. 10 more minutes until noon. 10 minutes left to hold my silence, to keep up this facade of restraint. "She's clever, I'll give her that," some whispered in the crowd. What if Aubrey really is delusional? Obsession can make people imagine anything. Can you imagine how disgusted Liam must feel being stalked by someone like her? Just then, someone remembered Liam was waiting in the green room with the other guests. But when the live feed switched over, the signal had been cut for nearly 10 minutes. And when it returned, Liam was no longer on screen. My hand tightened around the stylus as I scribbled furiously on the tablet, each stroke carving out my rage. Sienna tilted her head, watching me with mock pity. "Aubrey, are you mentally unwell? You can't even speak yet. You insist on this charade of being on some vow of silence." She giggled softly, masking cruelty with feigned concern. "Don't write anymore. You should get checked out. Check yourself first." The voice sliced through the room like a blade. Every head whipped toward the entrance. The crew scrambled to hold him back, but Liam shoved past them, his face stormy. With one swift motion, he snatched the microphone from another guest and strode forward, radiating fury. Sienna's face drained of color. She forced a trembling smile. "Liam, what are you saying? I was only trying to look out for Aubrey. You've misunderstood. I never meant any harm." "No harm?" His voice was ice. "Then why are you pretending to be my wife?" Gasps tore through the studio. "What?" He said, "wife." The comments exploded, divided between disbelief and vindication. "Don't jump to conclusions," some cautioned. "We don't know the whole story yet." "What else is unclear? He just said it himself." "Stop shipping nonsense." For once, Sienna looked rattled. Her eyes darted around before she forced an innocent pout. "You misunderstood me, Liam. I never once said it was you. I never claimed you were the one. People just assumed." It was a brilliant trap implication without declaration. She had never named him outright, only dangled hints and let the public devour the illusion. She could retreat without consequence or advance if it suited her. A fox cornered yet still cunning. Liam's brow furrowed, ready to speak again, but Sienna recovered her poise and smiled sweetly. "I'm sorry, I only thought Aubrey was trying to borrow your name to gain attention. Since I've worked with you before, I thought you were a good man and wanted to protect you. My intentions were kind. I never expected she would truly be your wife." My stomach twisted. 3 more minutes. 3 minutes until the point I had promised myself I could finally break the silence. I was suffocating from writing everything down like a voiceless ghost. Liam exhaled sharply, his laugh hollow and furious. "You let your fans manipulate the narrative, hurl insults at Aubrey, and you expect me to believe you're innocent. You think I don't see through you. You fooled me once, but no more." Without those comments, maybe I wouldn't have realized what kind of person you really are. The host. Chase Morgan darted in, his voice shaky but firm. "Liam, please remember we're live. Keep it professional, keep it civil." Sienna's eyes welled up with perfectly timed tears, her expression dripping with wounded innocence. "Me lead the fans, I swear I didn't. Aubrey accused me of lying now." "You're accusing me of controlling public opinion, Liam. How could you think that of me? Even if you two are married, that doesn't mean everyone else wants to force their way into your family." Sienna said, her voice sugar-coated but edged with steel. She placed a hand on her chest, feigning sincerity. "Liam, you're a good man, but I've only ever seen you as a work partner. Please don't overthink it." Almost on cue, the live comments shifted in a disturbing direction. "Is this really necessary? He's humiliating a young woman on a live broadcast. Liam is using his fame to bully her. This poor girl hasn't done anything wrong. It's unfair. He comes off as gentlemanly, but this proves he's just a controlling husband. Don't you remember that viral airport video? The one where he cursed someone out just for brushing against his wife?" As if orchestrated hashtags popped up. "Welcome, disillusioned Liam fans, join the Sienna Monroe fan club." Then another video suddenly went viral, timed perfectly, showing Liam coldly smashing someone's phone and sneering, "Did you make enough money to buy yourself a coffin yet?" The clip was cropped to highlight only his most ruthless expression. The tide of public opinion began to turn. But Liam's fanbase was massive and fiercely loyal. Within minutes, they flooded the feeds with positive content burying the smear campaign before it could explode further. I barely noticed the storm online. My eyes stayed fixed on the clock. Every second dragged like an eternity, until finally the moment came. Noon. 3 months of silence ended here. I inhaled, my voice cracking with frost as it broke free. "Sienna, you say you're innocent. Are you finished?" I paused just long enough to let the silence tighten. Good, now it's my turn. The crowd jolted. For the first time in months, I had spoken. My tone carried a natural chill, years of restraint compressed into those words. Sienna's lips curled into a mock-innocent smile. "So you can talk, Aubrey. What a surprise." I ignored her jab. Instead, I tapped the tablet, projecting its screen onto the massive display behind us. Confusion rippled through the audience as a video conference interface appeared. Sienna stiffened. Moments later, the screen shifted to a plain presentation slide. A deep male voice filled the room. On the 20th of last month, Sienna Monroe's manager used an online platform to coordinate top fans and hired accounts to steer public opinion during today's broadcast. Here is the evidence. Sienna's mask cracked. Her eyes darted toward Chase Morgan, silently begging for rescue. Chase cleared his throat. "Aubrey, this is highly irregular. You're breaking the program's format." "Really?" I cut him off coldly. "How long will this evidence take to present?" "About 3 minutes," the voice replied. Then consider it a 3-minute ad sponsored by the Collins family. The words landed like a thunderclap. Chase froze, the significance dawning on him. His gaze flicked between me and Sienna before he stepped back, retreating into silence. Sienna's complexion turned chalk white. Beads of sweat gathered at her temple, her body locked rigidly in place. The voice continued. Along with chat logs and payment receipts, we've obtained a highly valuable video. The screen flickered. The footage was shaky, clearly filmed in secret, but Sienna's face was unmistakable. She was lounging in a chair, cigarette between her fingers, her expression sour. "You booked me for this reality show too early," she snapped at her manager. "What if I slip up? Liam Prescott isn't easy to manipulate." The manager's voice came through low and dismissive. "Did you think they invited you because of your acting? You only got this gig because of the fake couple narrative with Liam. Just drop a few hints. Make people think you and he are close. That's all you need. I'll handle the rest." Sienna exhaled a plume of smoke, cursing under her breath. "Damn it, this is risky, but fine, just don't screw it up." The video cut out. The studio was dead silent. After the video exposed Sienna's conversation with her manager, her mask finally shattered. On the screen, she sneered through a cloud of cigarette smoke. "A couple of dinners with the right investors, and the lead role is mine. But first I need to crush that annoying girl by his side. She's everywhere, such a nuisance. Everyone already believes Liam and I are the perfect match, yet some idiots still think he and Aubrey are a real couple. Pathetic." The clip ended abruptly, but the damage was irreversible. The footage had clearly been recorded in secret, likely by someone close to her team. No one knew why an assistant would betray her like that, but in this world, no scandal ever stayed buried when enough money was involved. Sienna staggered as if her legs could no longer hold her, desperate to slip out, but Liam blocked her path. "Who said you could leave?" I cut in coldly, my voice sharp as ice. Liam's eyes burned with contempt as he stepped closer. "That's right. Who gave you permission to walk away?" In that moment, we moved in perfect sync, like two predators circling their prey. Sienna realized her career wasn't just dented, it was over. Her lips trembled. "I'm sorry, Aubrey. Please forgive me. I didn't know you were from the Collins family. If I had known, I would never, please just this once let it go. I know I was wrong." I arched a brow, my voice dripping with disdain. "Even a pig knows when to turn before hitting a tree, yet you charged straight into it." "You're worse than that pig, Sienna," she gasped, but I pressed on. "And why exactly should I forgive you? I've never pretended to be magnanimous. My grandmother once forced me into silence training, not just because she hated solitude, but because she knew my mouth was too sharp, too dangerous." I smirked. "Well, here I am, a petty woman with a vicious tongue, and I don't plan to change that for you." The 3-minute presentation delivered by Grant Mitchell had detonated like a bomb. It laid out everything under the table: deals, tax evasion contracts, bent to her favor, even Sienna drinking and entertaining investors to secure roles. He presented each point with calm precision, but the live stream comment feed was chaos. "Did someone report her for tax fraud yet? I can't believe we're watching a live broadcast of actual crimes. This is insane. She's finished. There's no way out of this one." Not even her army of hired commenters could drown out the truth now. The evidence was ironclad. She wasn't just losing a role, her entire career was frozen, her reputation obliterated. By contrast, my marriage to Liam, once a whispered rumor, became almost secondary in the uproar. No one cared to doubt it anymore. The truth spoke for itself. I exhaled deeply, stepping out of the suffocating studio into the open air. The ocean breeze carried salt across my lips, and for the first time in months, my chest felt free. Liam followed silently, his steps heavy. After a long pause, he murmured, "I'm sorry. It's my fault for not seeing through her sooner." I shook my head, my smile faint but steady. "No, it isn't. I never intended for you to find out this way. Do you remember how you got that scar in your eye?" My fingers brushed the faint mark gently. "Every time something involves me, you lose control. You'd throw yourself into danger without a second thought." That scar had come from the night we were kidnapped. Believing the man would kill me, Liam had fought like a madman to shield me and taken the blow instead. That was why I hadn't told him the truth sooner, because I knew he would have exposed Sienna, immediately refused to play along, and that would have left us open to even crueler rumors. I needed time. I needed her to overreach, so when I struck, it would be final. He stayed quiet, then leaned his forehead against my shoulder. His voice was low, vulnerable. But I wasn't useless, was I? I smiled softly. No, love. Without you, the world wouldn't have believed me so easily. You were the reason they saw through her lies. His lips curved slowly into a real smile, the kind I hadn't seen in so long. Then your silence is over, isn't it? Your grandmother can't scold you anymore, which means... His voice lowered, playful but commanding. We can finally do what a husband and wife are supposed to do. Before I could protest, his arms tightened. His steps were urgent, unrelenting, but his touch was tender. He pulled me back inside, closing the door behind us, sealing us away from the noise of the world. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next videos.